Welcome to this Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher, and today I'm bringing you the Tangle Surya from Indrani Novello, and I hope I pronounced all that right. This is a neat tangle, super simple and very rewarding. All right, so this one is going to start off with basically just drawing across. So you get to decide how big you want it. I'm going to try to draw it like this so that way you can see. Like so. And after you play with this, then there's a lot of options, which is what I also really like about this tangle. Then we're going to cross the cross, essentially drawing an asterisk. Now, let me share a tip if you need it. I get nervous doing this because it's happened too often where I draw a line all the way through and I end up missing the intersection. So here's a thought, if that's something that challenges you. Start at the intersection and just work out and make your straight lines. And then if it's easy for you to subdivide this, so you're dividing that in half, that just kind of helps. And there we go. And like I said, this, as you play with this one, there's lots of options, and you can decide, how long you want these spokes to be and everything, which just makes it even the more fun. All right, next step is we're going to create seeds. And a seed is essentially, and I'm just going to do this, it's a curved line going one direction, and we're doing it on these spokes. And I'm going to turn my tile so it's easier and consistent. Curve line going the other direction. All right. Now, something that you could do if you want to, just to avoid, oops, sorry, I'm sliding off the screen here. Just to avoid having to flip the tile so often. So I'm just doing, the 1/2. And the reason that we do this and we turn the tile, so you have this natural, if you've watched my videos, you've seen this 100 times already. But if this is the first one, I want to share it just because. We have this natural curve where you plant your hand, the heel of your hand, on your table, and then you can pivot. And then this creates, like I said, this natural curve. And I have found it just helps with the consistency of the curves. So you do it one direction, and then, well, I guess I probably could have kept going around and just slid it a little bit. Gosh, I'm sorry. I keep sliding off of here. All right. And then we're going to go back and do the other half. And these ones you can also play with, how wide they are and things. Once you kind of get the idea of the tangle, you can have fun with this part. And in the base, they can, if they end up kind of overlapping, that's okay. Or, whoops, well, that was interesting. Or at least, touching, that's all right too. Oh, apologize for that. It's like I'm wanting to work where it's comfortable, and for whatever reason, that's where it's comfortable is off the camera up. Oh my gosh! All right, I'm going to put my little. So I have this little wax thing that it's my chop. My brother had it made for me. Wax seal stamp, and so I keep it there just to kind of keep my paper in check. All right, next thing is we're going to draw a straight line in between all of these seeds that we have created. And you can call them petals because they do look like petals. And like so. And again, it looks like most of mine are kind of going above these, or they're longer. So they could be longer, they could be shorter. Again, something that you can play with. Now, this next step, similar to what we just did with these seeds, but we're going to work these behind what's already there. So you can think of it one of two ways. I kind of like to think of it as this is a seed that would be going all the way down here, so I get that curve similar. But I'm just picking up my pen when I get to here. And then, doing the other side as well. And the same thing, you could just do the one side, then, move your tile and work the other side as well. So the other thing, you can think of it as just a curve line coming from this tip to here. But I personally think that sometimes when we do that, we're going to get a little bit different shape. So, but it's up to you. And I just share that just as somewhat, it's just a, just informational. But essentially, this is what we're doing, is we're, putting this extra seed. And even if you are doing a curve line, I mean, it makes it a little fatter, and, has it all fit in. And there we go. All right. Next step is we're going to essentially kind of draw an orb in between the first layer that we did and the last layer. So it's kind of, it's not even, I don't know where to come up with a new term with it, but it's somewhat using the hollow bow technique, or you can think of it even just as very simply as we're going to draw some curved lines here on the background petals that we just did. Now there's a couple ways you could do this. We just did a class, and I should hopefully have the replay up here on YouTube sometime soon. But it would be the PM one, and my mom was on, and she decided she thought it was easier to add this orb before this step. But in the step outs, this is the way she has it, is doing all of this, and I'll just show you. The challenge comes in if some things are a little uneven, but that's okay. So kind of where these come together, actually I'm going to go down just a little bit and draw a little bit of a curved line, and then I'm turning my tile, continuing that curved line. This one lines up where because I kind of like it right where that intersection is, but if things aren't even, then that kind of can create a problem. And just a problem in that it's nice when it ends up looking like, and I'm going to say an orb or a circle, as you can see here, in between. All right. Next step is basically shading in. Now this is the point where you can decorate it however you want. And in the description section, I'll have, of course, a link to my step outs. I'll also have a link to this on Tangle patterns, so that way you can see some of the things that Indrani did with hers, and just to have some extra inspiration. So as I mentioned, this is going to be the fill-in section, and I want to point one thing out to you. And if you've watched any of my videos or you're familiar with Zentangle, you know there's no such thing as a mistake in Zentangle. I call them course corrections. So when something happens, like I had this right here that went a little bit awry, and in my mind, I go, okay, make kind of like a sticky note in my head. All right, let's go back and see how can we make that better at the end. Instead of worrying about it, it's like we just keep going. So now, because I knew that we're going to be filling in some of this, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be perfect. So then I can reshape this, and that's what I'm going to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to be coloring in, and I'll do some, and I'll probably put us on pause here. But I'm going to just make this shape a little bit nicer, and I'm going to color in this side. Okay. So what we're doing is we're alternating. So since I have picked this side to start, and that's what I recommend that you do is just kind of take an assessment and decide where you want to start with when you're filling in or doing something like that, and find the place that you need to fix and start there. Okay, and I think I can do this with my one from this point, because that one was kind of thin. We'll just see. I don't want to mess anything up. There we go. It's a little bit better. So we're alternating. Now, if you're familiar with something called the compass rose, this kind of ends up looking like that. And like I say, if you have a thicker, this graphic one is really nice for this, for filling in stuff. Because it kind of has a little bit of a point, not real fine. So that's why. So sometimes I'm careful not to put, not to go in the corners, and I'll touch up the corners of things with the 01 or a finer pen, just because I don't want to go outside of it. Sometimes I'll leave it like that, where it's just I don't know what I want to call that. Where I just have left that little gap, and like I said, I'll touch it up when I get back to when I get these done. All right, and since I don't have too many, I will not push pause at the moment. And when I push pause later to fill in some things, then I will also probably touch these up because it's just like a little sloppy, kind of making me a little crazy. All right. So that's the first step. Now, I do have some examples at the end that I will share with you of, just ideas, ways that you can decorate these if you wish. And, and that part is really up to your own creativity. And, too, if you don't want to and you just want to do it the way the pattern has it, then it's fine. All right, let me just do this really quick. And all right, so then, and this I'll probably use this, oh, you know what? Let me take that back. Let me use, that looks black. Okay, I'll use the PN. It's kind of like in the middle. It's a little bit thicker, and we'll get the job done just a smidge quicker. All right, so now we essentially have 3 layers, right? We have this first one that I've already alternated. Then we have this middle layer, which is the ring, and then the third layer, which are the petals that are kind of behind. So we're going to continue this, the idea of coloring in and alternating. And you could have done this all at once. I personally, just because I didn't want to mess it up, I needed to do, okay, let's just do the petals. That's one step. And then we'll do this. But, you're still alternating. So it's like filled in, open, filled in, open. So I could have done it all at one time. And maybe, when I'm doing them on my own, then certainly can do that. All right. And then you're probably going to guess when we get these here done, we're going to do those tips. And then I do have a couple quick shading ideas for you. And this is one that honestly, you don't even really have to shade if you didn't want to. And actually, I don't know if I'll be able to, well, we'll see if it'll work on here, because this is small, and because I'm just doing it, in the black and white, it might not show up quite so well. I think this pen might be on its way out. It's feeling kind of not flowing freely as I'm used to. All right. This is the last one. So then, on those little tips, this is really where you see the alternating. So we're going to color in this side. So it's, kind of like the checkerboard idea. So like that. So we'll fill in all of those. And for that, let me, because I think I want to also find a little bit better pen. Let me hit pause and finish these up so you don't have to suffer through watch, although maybe you're working at the same time, which that's very cool if you are. Okay, hitting pause. See you in a minute. And voila, just like magic. the magic of hitting pause. All right. So there we have it. Everything, colored in and alternating, and it looks really, really, really neat. Okay, so some extra fun that we can have with this, if you wanted to do some shading, is this. And like I said, it might not pop out so well, but I'll show you on one of the bigger ones that I have done, but just to demonstrate. And I'm just going to use my little golf pencil here. Yep. And so I'm just going to pick a side. And and I'm going to bring this all the way down just like I normally would anyway. So I'm putting graphite on the outside of this side. And I'm doing it on each of these top layer petals. And there's all kinds. I'm sure there are a ton of different ways that one could shade if you want to. And the reason I picked this side is because it has the light over here where it's not filled in, and then you can at least see the graphite. Versus on the other side, it would just be kind of a little bit of a waste. All right, so then I'm just going to kind of do the back and forth or more of a pushy type motion, just because I want it to spread out a little bit, but not too far. And then also being careful because on this cotton paper, and because it's still kind of wet, I don't want to pick any of it up, so I'm trying to be a little light at the same time. And hopefully you can see, I have a shadow going on my screen here, or the light is in the way actually, and having trouble seeing that. All right. Sorry. Yeah, so then it kind of starts to pop and raise that up off of that middle the middle orb. Now, another thing on the same side, I'm just going to put some little bit of graphite on these the alternate petals just on the tips here. And again, just picking one side. Generally in Zentangle, we don't worry about shading and worrying about light source and all of that. It's more about, how do I make it pop, or just having a neat effect. But this, just putting it on the one side. I guess if I was truly worrying about shadow, then I would hold it in one place, and then it would change. And this just makes it easy. It's pick one side, stick to that side, and it still has a really, really cool effect. And I do like to share that because I don't know if you're. A lot of times I like to find things apparently to worry about sometimes, but not being. Not considering myself an artist in that, not been trained, never really liked art class and stuff like that because I just didn't quite get it. And I just share that just so that way you understand. That's all. All right, so you see, it kind of makes it pop. It kind of gives it a shadow. And then again, it's easy because you're just picking one side of the thing to do, not the other side, just one. Put a little graphite, spread it out, and it looks really cool. All right, let me back up my camera here just a smidge and not drop things, just so I can show you what some other things that we did. I had a couple sessions today. Today is Thursday as I'm recording this, and we did a couple what I call Tangle Time sessions. They're free classes. In the description section, there's ways to connect with me, Facebook, website, etc. Would love to have you join in if you are available. It's at 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So I'd love to have you join us. But this one I decided to do a bunch of them, just some little ones, and had fun playing. So here's some ideas. You could put little orbs in instead of shading or coloring in. This one here, I decided to do some stripes. I did some other colors just to have some fun. And then this one, I decided in my second session I wanted to go large, and so that's what I did, and I added some beadline tangle to the outside just to have fun with that. But this one I decided to color in solid and then do orbs on the other side. And this one, besides doing the shading that I showed you, except this one I have it on the left side, I also, and because this is big I could do that, I added shading to the outside of the the orb that we created. To have it lift off even more, so hopefully you can almost see these three distinct layers as if they were something cut out and assembled. I just think that it's so fascinating to be able to create something that has that look. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, would love to have a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet and would like to, please hit that subscribe button, and then also hit the notification bell next to it so you can decide how you want to be notified, if you want to be notified at all. And I already mentioned the stuff in the description section. So with that, I wish you happy tangling. Have fun with this.